Okay, so this episode is all about Ennobled for Business, how to build global business group and social consciousness. I have the great, the fabulous Dr. Kasthuri Henry. And as you guys have known in the library, Dr. Kaz, Ennobled for Success, Civil War to US CFO was her first book, as well as now, because she's always busy, she's out with Ennobled for Business, an anthology. And so we've been working on that. So the mastermind behind the entire anthology has welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And such an honor to be with you, Maureen. Always a joy.
Oh, thank you. So, all right, let's get into this because I did my research on the word ennobled. And ennobled is a word that you very much have in everything that you touch and do. So when you say the word ennobled, what does that mean?
It comes from the ancient Western tradition of Aristotle and Plato, surprisingly, and it is also mirrored in my Eastern tradition. And what it means is the embodiment of noble qualities. And the noble qualities are kindness, compassion, grace under fire, right? How do we truly build a humane society where we truly care about each other, we're responsible for each other, and we understand that our success and our prosperity is interconnected? Therefore, we're building things in a way that we speak to the hearts and minds of people and we embrace them and bring them in. And an ennobled person knows and understands the need to be kind and empathetic and grateful and graceful in all circumstances so that we hold space for others, meet them where they are, and lift them up. And in the process, lift ourselves up too.
Okay. I love that word. So living ennobled, because that is what you do. So on the other, now the whole book, right? And my review will be out there, as well as having the privilege of interviewing all the authors. It's very much from a right brain, really corporate, really, and it's great because this is not a perspective. So it's brilliant. So you were beyond, like, you were CFO, Fortune 500. I mean, you're in the numbers. So how do you build a global community with consciousness?
Interesting question. So I have always believed that each of us are a being, and who we are being at the core truly allows us to bring our craft and our skills and our gifts forward. And skills alone doesn't make us successful, right? So I'm a right brain, left brain, very balanced person, but intentionally. I've intentionally developed it because I am naturally a STEM person professionally. But from a human being perspective, I actually need to embrace my humanity. So I'm one of those people who've been very conscious based on my life history. I wouldn't have survived and thrived if not for the kind people of different parts of the world who stepped up and gave me that love and gave me that empathy and embraced me. And none of them were highly educated. None of them were corporate types. They were all families in the slums, women in the slums, maids, rickshaw men, people we think are invisible. And so my life has taught me that our humanity is more powerful than our skills. And what helps us thrive is the humanity we give towards each other. And then our skills allows us to lift everything and everybody up. So it's not either or. It's like, don't ask me to choose between day and night, because if there is no night, there is no day, right? It's a process, two sides of the same whole. And so why should I have to choose? And I come from a tradition where we don't look at the world as a dichotomy. It's not right or wrong, heaven or hell, black or white. It's a continuum. So in that continuum, how do I embrace my left and right brain and put my humanity first? Because the fact that I was a CFO for a Fortune 100 company, that I ran a $22 billion pension fund, none of that takes away the fact that I am human first. I am a being, and the essence of my being in its ennobled state is what makes my life happy. It's what brings peace to me. And in that process, then I can pass it on to the others. And remember, happiness is the modern day success. Money cannot buy success. Money cannot buy happiness, right? It gets us things, but it doesn't give us success. And it's ultimately, fundamentally, every human being's quest to be happy. Pursuit of happiness is the underlying premise of every creature. So if our very existence is to pursue happiness, then why would we forget our humanity, and why would we forget other people's humanity?
Now we're talking to the audiences out there, and the audience is oftentimes there's people that are in so much pain and frustration and do not see humanity, are not experiencing humanity. What do you've lived trials and tribulations? What would you say to someone who says, I have not experienced humanity as of late? Does it even exist anymore?
My personal experience is what we put out in the world is what we attract. So if I don't see kindness around me, let me step in and be the wellspring of that kindness. Then I am going to allow people to model that. I grew up in the middle of a bloody civil war. And all I saw was adults around us either too afraid to deal with it and allow things to exacerbate over generations that it blew up where it is. And the whole world, the adult world, didn't care. They all looked for ways to make money or stay out of the way. And so growing up as a child, you realize the adults don't have it together. So we got to figure this out. And in a child's mind, it's easier to figure out how to be happy and how to help each other. So I remember, I'm a Hindu, raised in a Catholic convent school, right? And we all carried holy water. And when the military stopped to raid us or rape us or whatever, I would open up the holy water bottle and sprinkle on them and put the sign. I mean, they are Buddhists, we're Hindus, right? But I will still put the sign of the cross and pray and say, okay, are you sure you want to do this? And if they still don't change, I'll say, you know what? You're a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu. We come back. We don't go to heaven or hell. We have karma and we're coming back. And if you killed me, you have debt to pay to your soul has unresolved debt to pay to my soul. So I'm going to come back. Chances are I'm going to be your daughter or your daughter-in-law. Do you want that? Right? So kindness, humor, a little bit of integration of surprise, what they're not expecting. Those things taught me how to navigate this. And I don't have to mirror what I see. I just have to show up the way I believe my creator made me. And then I become the source of that resonance of ennobling, and magically things fall into place. They have always fallen into place for me because I refuse to believe that all humans are inherently evil. I honestly believe that everybody has something in them that makes them capable of loving and be loved. Everybody had a mother and everybody has a child, right? Or somebody they love. If not a person, a pet. So somewhere in their soul, there is that inherent gift. Why not believe in that? Because when we believe in that in people, 9.9% out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, people do rise up. Because life has taught me nobody believes in anybody else. And when one person believes in me, I'm never going to let them down. And so why not tap into the power of that? And that's what I would say. If you don't see kindness, be the source of that kindness.
What I'm seeing is that you are and stand in possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't stop with this. So ennoble for success Kaz's first book. I get to call her Kaz. Uh, Incredible read. It's all vulnerability. It's about her story, and it's such a great adventure. And it's laughing, and it's get the book. It's not anything I ever expected from, again, Fortune 100. By the way, we caught that, not 500. But now we have, because you're also about a mission about building. You're a builder, and you're building a global community. And within that, then, Ennobled for Business is the anthology. So what's the intention behind the anthology?
Everybody was completely wrapped up with COVID. Organizations were stunned in terms of, oh my God, what do we do next? And we had built a work world which expected people to leave their life and their personality at home, right? When you swipe your card in, don't bring anything about you into the workplace was the norm, right? Pre-COVID. Yeah. But if you truly want caring, authentic people who can lead an organization, you can't ask them to leave their being outside, because it's our being that informs how we fuel our doing, right? Because I am not a machine. None of us are machines, and we're not programmed to do things like an automated machine. And COVID taught everybody, put humanity first. Because if you don't care about your people, then your people are now going to have alternate choices, because we have all of a sudden arrived in a world of work from anywhere. So employers can't say, if you don't like this place, go find another job, because you don't need to go anywhere to find another job. You can sit at home in front of your computer and find another job, or 2 or 3 jobs, or you can be a gig worker, right? You can start your own consulting firm. You can do contract work for multiple employers, and you can structure a life that works for you. And employers also realized now that they had to go into the home of the employees for work because they're working from home, they had to make accommodations. Children are at home, pets are at home. When you told people don't bring your home problems to work, now people might tell you don't bring work problems into my home, I'm in my home territory. So when you are encroaching in their personal space day in, day out, and when you expect people to be 24/7 on, then you got to meet the humanity where the humanity is. And so this was a way for me to bring in a group of ennobled leaders from the business sector, from various parts of the world, fueled by various cultures and experiences, to help provide a blueprint with practical examples and roadmap on how to build an ennobled business for success. Because every stakeholder community in a business is human. Martians are not coming, right? So humans are all we have: our customers, our regulators, our suppliers, our employees. Everybody is human. So let's get down to basic and recognize that our humanity trumps everything else.
Some people might say the Martians are already here, but anyway, I love that visual, that the piece that you don't bring your life to work, but now work has been brought into the home, and it's changed everything. It's that profound. The piece here, though. So, and again, this is that we're in, again, the post-pandemic workplace. We're in where some people are being asked to return to work, and what that entails. Particularly, that's always more difficult on women. My men are going to be mad at me for saying that, but it often women handle the day-to-day on the most part, and we love our men, and there are men handling it all. I get such flack for saying that, but it's true. On the majority, women handle the day-to-day.
The day-to-day work women do for no pay all over the world is worth $1 billion a day. If women don't do the day-to-day, then households have to pay for cleaning service, have to pay for cooking, have to pay for running of the household. They may have to have surrogates for birth. They have to have nurses for caregiving. All of that is unpaid. So Women do more than 75% of the unpaid work. So I also challenge the definition of work. Scientific definition of work is you expend energy and you have output. By that definition, work is not pay or no pay, right? So women are the ones who are doing the unpaid work because we live in a patriarchal Western Christian society that has been propagated through the colonial era. And so that has become the norm in most parts of the world. So if women are doing the unpaid work and we don't consider that work, and now they also have to step out and work outside to bring money home. And in countries like the United States, more than 50% of the households are single mother households. And they get paid less for the same work they do. And their healthcare costs are more than that of the men because they happen to have children. Right? And most employers don't cover those healthcare costs under religious exemptions. I question how our society can be viable if we don't respect women without whom we will not be here. Every human being on this earth came from the womb of a mother.
And we are questioning it. We are questioning because we're rolling into that people are saying, I'm not going back. Or we have, again, the quiet quitting. So within that, it is being questioned. So what does that, okay, and I love, and I'm privileged to have read the book and got to know the authors and continue to get to know the authors. And I love the perspective. Again, it is a very, very, it's STEM and corporate of so many things that we've just naturally been talking about, transformation and leadership and bringing forward, but it's corporate now. And I love that it's pushed there.
Mm-hmm.
The piece here with which means that the change is still moving forward.
Yes.
And that humanity, the change of humanity being brought into the workplace is the byproduct of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
What a great thing. Mm-hmm. Someone who's sitting there quietly quitting because they're stuck, or they're grappling with what does that look like now? What do you say to them?
Don't make quitting your first choice. Okay. Because when you make quitting your first choice, all you're doing is taking your options out of your hands. So what if you figure out what it is that you can do to have a fail-safe for you, right? And build your alternate plan. And while you're building your plan, go and talk to your managers and talk to your leaders and see how far they can accommodate. Because sometimes people don't do anything because nobody asked. Okay? So what if you ask? And what if you set boundaries? And when we set boundaries and we set up expectations, we make the relationship more viable. And quitting is very much a ego-driven decision that doesn't look at the long-term resilience and economic viability of the person and the family. Don't make visceral decisions based on emotion. That's the other thing, right? As human beings, we have to engage our mind, our heart, our feelings, and then our actions. And if we are only making decisions based on feelings, then we have not thought through the consequences and we haven't coordinated the corrective actions. And then we get frustrated that nobody's helping me, I can't pay a mortgage, my life is miserable. All of those are consequences of an emotional choice we made. And don't give that power over to somebody else. If you'd feel like you're not treated right, don't make that the reason to make your life more miserable. Right? Because we have choices. And our choice has to start from how do I engage my heart, mind, and my actions? And how do I strategically coordinate it for my resilient life building? And how do I go through that process through ennobling myself and then build a life that I believe I deserve. You may eventually walk out of that business, but don't do it viscerally. Like if you're stuck in traffic, you're not going to get out of the car and walk away on a highway, right?
It's just will not achieve any goal.
No, no. So my advice is don't let emotions get in the way of being realistic and pragmatic.
So,
And get a coach, get a coach. Get
I,
someone to talk to.
okay, I have so the painting the picture that at one point the time where you were CFO of Fortune 100, you had that office, you had that with people, you had that space, that intimidating space, even if you did not intentionally create that. So someone's there saying, all right, I'm going to go up to Dr. Kaz's office today, and I've thought this through, and I'm going to go in with whatever that looks like. I'm going to go in and say, hey, can I have a half day on Fridays and Mondays, or something that is then that will move their lives forward. And the hallway is getting longer, and the space getting there, and they're slowing down because it's Dr. Kaz, CFO. That whole piece put anyone in that office where that trepidation of moving forward to allowing someone that came to you then. Mm-hmm. What would that have looked like? What would you have said? Has that ever happened? And what advice would you give someone to stand in the ask?
Beautiful question, Maureen. And this is something I've had to deal with because I've had young men and women work for me, right? I became a young CFO at 32. So I don't have children, but I was childbearing age. So was my entire team. But I had one rule for my team, one non-negotiable rule. We are each other's keepers, and we are going to hold space for each other. And what I did in a practical sense is twice a year, in the summer and the holiday season, I had my employee, my team, and their entire families over, and my husband and I, we cooked for them. We barbecued in the summer, and I made Sri Lankan food in the winter, and every family, the children got to pick a pie they wanted, and that's what I handmade pies for each family for Christmas. And my goal was to make sure our spouses knew each other. Because when we are we went through 9/11, we didn't go home for 6 months. We had hotel rooms to change, right? Our spouses had to come to the hotel rooms to meet us. We were joking. We were like prisoners with conjugal visits, right? So our world can turn upside down because of the industry we were in and the responsibility we had, right? But that doesn't take away the fact that we are human and our families need support. So my intention was that we all become each other's support system. Spouses could talk to spouses and be supportive. And spouses could pick up the phone and call me if my team member was not comfortable telling me they had something. And one of the things I consciously did is every child had my phone number. If an emergency comes, call me. If your parent is not picking up the phone, you call me. Somebody from this family will be there for you. We were one family. And so something really happened. She was the first Belizean woman I ever met. And her daughter had an emergency in school, and the mother wouldn't go. The daughter called me. And so immediately we had a team meeting, and everybody volunteered and it was month end. And the team volunteered to pick up her load. And we told her to go take care of the kid. Don't come back until the child says everything is taken care of, right? Sometimes we have to empower the children so that parents feel it's okay. But what that created as a discipline is everybody knew we're going to step up and pitch in for each other. And when we have something, they are going to step up and pitch in for me. So when my Vietnamese finance manager wanted to start a family, she came down and we sat down, we planned. The whole team sat down and figured out who is going to be the right person to step into this role. We kicked in our succession planning, and we allowed this woman to start reducing her workload little by little. And by the time she had her second child, that's over the course of 3 years, we helped her transition fully into running her own business. Right? So if we create the right supportive culture, understanding that family needs come first, human needs come first, there are no surprises. Everything can be planned and everybody wins. Everybody wins. And if the culture was such that if anybody tried to step out of the norm, the peer pressure of the team will reel them in, or they themselves will come and say, you know what? I have precipitated the situation where I have squandered the trust of the team. Help me transition out because I don't believe I can earn their trust back. That has also happened.
You were always standing and ennobled in everything and still do.
Yes.
And so therefore we have ennobled for business because we still got work to do.
Plenty of work to do, right? Somehow the workplace believes if you don't bring your ego in, you're weak. I mean, you preface this with your, scary CFO office, but the funny thing is anybody who comes into my office thinks I'm Dr. Henry's secretary because of the way I look and the way I engage. I am not the norm for a regular CFO. And men have said a lot of crazy stuff to me because they thought I was just a secretary. And then when we go into meetings, oh my Lord, I've had some men run out of the conference room to splash cold water on their face and come. And they never got anything they wanted through the negotiation because they were so embarrassed. And I made sure I got everything we needed, right? So how people behave, when they show me who they are, I believe them. I hold them to it, but I do so with humor and I don't budge from my boundaries. And so I challenge you, being kind is not a weakness. Having grace under difficult situations, having grace when people are insulting you, actually is your strength. Your biggest strength is other people underestimating you. Because when you come out and you shine, they're so gobsmacked. They don't know what to do, and you're going to accomplish everything you want to. So give them enough rope to hang themselves, is what I say. And don't let ego get in the way to be offended, because then your energy is funneled to being offended instead of rising above with grace and accomplishing the task at hand. Ego is such an important thing in human relationships. Letting go of that is truly the secret sauce.
Dr. Kaz. Oh, we created some good stuff today. Again, Dr. Kasthuri Henry, Ennobled for Success, the first book. Get it because it's just fun and a great, great book. And it gets to enable you on your ennobled path to knowing Dr. Kaz. And then Ennobled for Business is coming out. We're not going to put the date. It's coming out October 5th. Oh, you'll be hearing about it. So, any last words? Where can we find you? And then we got a new show coming out, but we're going to talk about that after the book. Can't wait. Anything we want to besides the book? Anything else you want to promote? Anything else you want to have people find you? Your podcast.
Folks can find me at kashenry.com, KASHENRY.com. That's my business website. And I have a podcast that is an international live podcast, and it's on YouTube. You can Google Transform with Dr. Kaz, Dr.Kas. And just to embrace who you are is my only advice and my only tip for the day. Embrace who you are because you were created by design for a purpose. Stand in that purpose and ennoble yourself and light up the path for others, because that is the only way we're going to get through these difficult times. And we need the light of every person. Think of this as a runway. When the plane lands, it needs every light. One light is not enough. We need that entire path left. And therefore, we need each of you to show up in your strength, in your humanity, so that you are visible and your light lights up the path for others as well.
Everyone, Dr. Kasthuri Henry. Great to have you on the show again, my friend.
Always a pleasure and an absolute joy, Maureen. Thank you.
Bye.